Hello friends, welcome to another 12 Days of Christmas Tumbler tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a pink Christmas split tumbler. We're going to do a little bit of peekaboo action, which is my favorite, as you all know, and we're just going to make a really cute pink Christmas cup. So I'm starting out here with a pre-prepped white 32-ounce plump tumbler from the Tipsy Magnolia. If you don't have a pre-prepped one, that's fine. You can base paint your cup either with white spray paint or pink spray paint or acrylic paint, whatever. I'm just going to use the plain white base here. I want a really soft pink tone to start. So I'm going to take my prepped cup and I'm going to put about 3 to 5 milliliters of my Flint Sisters Supply Shop Fast Cure epoxy on the tumbler. I'm going to spread that all over in a nice thin even layer, and then I'm going to apply my glitter. The glitter I'm using for this first base layer is Longboat from Peachy Olive Glitters. It's a really pretty fine cut pink glitter. You can use a chunky cut here too if you would like. It doesn't really matter. You can do any cut, any color. You could do a custom mix if you wanted to. That would also be really fun. But this is just going to be the background for our decal and the background for our peekaboo. So just keep that in mind when you're selecting your colors. I let that epoxy and glitter layer dry overnight, and then I went in with 2 coats of Flint Sisters Supply Shop Fast Cure epoxy. Each of those coats is about 25 milliliters, and I'm waiting probably, I would say, 6 to 8 hours in between each coat. So at this point right now, I've got my 2 coats of epoxy on my cup. I have not done any sanding or anything. My cup is pretty smooth because we used a fine cut glitter, so there wasn't really any sanding that I needed to do at this point. But if you do need to do any sanding, now would be the time to do it, because we're going to get everything ready to do our peekaboo next. So you want your cup to be relatively smooth. It doesn't need to be perfect. You just want it to be smooth enough that you're not going to have these big bumps of glitter underneath your peekaboo. So what I'm doing now is splitting my cup into the different sections. I'm going to use a UV DTF decal from Flint Sisters Supply Shop. So I'm holding that up on my tumbler and using that as my guide for where I'm going to break the cup into its like bottom half and top half. So I just made a little mark with my Sharpie, and I'm going to put a piece of 1.5 inch painter's tape down, and I'm going to do 2 pieces of this because I'm going to do one strip that is 1.5 inches, and that's going to be our seamless pattern that we do later. But I'm going to mark that off so that I know that it's just like masking tape as I'm writing masking on there. And then the bottom piece of tape will be where we put the pattern. So you'll see all of that later, but mainly what we want to do is mark that off so we know that this whole bottom half of our cup is meant for the peekaboo section that we're going to do. So I'm going to measure around my tumbler, and then I'll measure the height as well of that bottom section, and I'm going to make my little stencil group that exact size so that when we wrap our stencil around, it looks like a perfectly seamless pattern, and then we can place all of our stencils down at once and we don't have to do much work like placing everything one by one manually, if that makes sense. The trees I'm using for this peekaboo are from Bear Trends on Etsy. Now this peekaboo is a little bit differently oriented, so I just took her stencil and rearranged it so that everything would be in a nice row to go around the bottom of the tumbler. So I just duplicated it a couple times and then lined everything up. So I'll link her file down below if you want to use the exact same one. It comes with some cute little other elements too that I didn't use on this tumbler, but of course if you wanted to, you can use them. I also have another tutorial using that same template, so I will link that down below for you if you want another idea of how to use the file if you're going to purchase it and you want to use it twice. So I cut this out of my stencil vinyl, again using the dimensions of my exact tumbler. So you will want to measure your cup to make sure that the dimensions of this file are correct for you, because if you use a different glitter, if you need to do a little bit of extra epoxy, that's all going to change the width of your tumbler. So you want to do that measurement and cut your stencil like basically when you're ready to do your peekaboo. You don't want to do it too early because then your dimensions might change and things might not line up the right way. All right, so as you can see, I have my transfer tape on my stencil and I cut the top edge to be perfectly straight so that I can line that top edge of our stencil up with the bottom straight edge of our painter's tape. And now I'm just going to transfer the entire stencil at once. So I'm doing this essentially the same way you would with like a sheet of pattern vinyl. I stuck down one edge of my stencil with some painter's tape, and then I pushed the stencil onto the tumbler as I pushed the backing away, just going all the way around the cup. So now we've got our stencil perfectly applied. Everything looks nice and seamless. You have no idea where the design starts and where the design ends. I love when that happens. So now I'm just going to make sure that my stencil is really stuck down to the cup, and then I'll go through and remove that transfer tape. And then I'll take my cup outside and I'm going to spray paint the bottom half of my tumbler using matte white spray paint. You can do, if you want to, you can do 2 coats of the paint, but we are going to do glitter over our peekaboo. So I just did 1 coat, but if you feel like you need more coverage, you can absolutely do 2 coats over your stencil. That is a-okay. Once my paint is dry, I'm going to go through and just make a quick mark on all of my little trees with a Sharpie so that I can find them underneath our glitter. And then I'm going to create a custom glitter mix to go over our peekaboo. I wanted a little bit of like a pinky white shade. I didn't want to do just plain white, but I also didn't want to do too pink and have the trees not contrast at all with the white on top. So I decided to make a pinky white. I'm not doing any measurements for this mix. I'm just gonna go with my heart. So I'm using Lassie, Chunky Parabatai, Unagi, and Chandelier, all from Peachy Olive Glitters to start. And then we'll just build off of that mix that we create. I think I put a little bit too much Lassie in because it like pigmented the whole glitter just a little too much. So I did have to go back and add a little bit more white to kind of tone that pink down. So just be conscious of that. Of course, you can never go wrong, in my opinion at least, in creating a custom glitter mix. I think 9 times out of 10, no matter what you do, they're gonna turn out really, really great because mixing glitter together, I feel like only yields a good result. So don't be afraid to just try it, throw all the glitters in the pot and see what happens. I'm telling you, the majority of the time, everything will work out so well and you'll be so proud of yourself. So just don't be afraid. Like, put the glitter in the cup and mix it together and it will be beautiful. We're going to do kind of a Tack-it method style peekaboo here. So I'm going to use my foil adhesive from Southern Belle Glitter. You can also use the traditional Aleene's Tack-it if you would like to, or you can just go in with a regular glitter glue or epoxy method or whatever you like, and then you just don't have to burnish your glitter down. It's totally personal preference. So what I'm going to do is brush on a nice thin, even layer with the foil adhesive, and then I'm going to put it on my turner in front of a small space heater for maybe like 30 minutes, and that's just going to speed up the drying process. If you're impatient like me and you just like want to do things right now, you can also just put it on your tumbler and then wait at least an hour without the space heater, an hour or more. You can wait like overnight if you want to. But it is really important to make sure that your adhesive is that tacky texture. You don't want it to be still wet because then when you go to burnish your glitter down, it'll just be like a goopy mess. So make sure you give it enough time. You will see kind of a clear shine on your tumbler. You won't have a white cast. Once that white cast is gone, that means your adhesive is dry and you're probably safe to go in and apply your glitter. So once mine is dry, again about 30 minutes in front of the space heater, I'm going to apply my glitter, and then with a gloved hand, I'm just going to brush the glitter off, kind of like rub the glitter into the tumbler, and that's going to, 1, brush off all of the excess, and 2, it's going to help that glitter lie flat and give us that really nice kind of different texture that this like Tack-it method technique gives us. And again, if you don't like the way this looks, you don't have to do this technique. You can just apply your glitter like normal and then remove your stencils. I just like this because it's kind of like skipping a step. Like you get to have your glitter nice and flat and even, and then it stays in place because anything that's still on your tumbler is stuck to that adhesive. So it's just kind of, for me, in my opinion, an easier way to get a nice finish with your peekaboo, but the other way is totally fine. I do that all the time as well. So whatever you like, do that. Once I'm at a place where I feel like my glitter looks good and I'm ready to move on, I'm going to take my pin pen and I'm going to very carefully remove all of those tiny tree stencils. Now I'm going to, like I said, use my pin pen here to kind of lift up the vinyl, and then as you can see, I'm going in with my hand and pulling up the rest of the stencil. That's just the way for me it's easiest to peel up the decals without ruining the glitter on top. If you have another way, that's fine too. You do just want to be really careful that you aren't scratching your glitter because you don't want to ruin all of that beautiful work that you just did. Once I have all of my stencils peeled up, I'm going to go right into another coat of epoxy. Again, still using the Flint Sisters Supply Shop Fast Cure here, and this coat was about 30 milliliters. And once that's dry, we can move into all of the details for the top half of the tumbler. For that 1.5 inch area that we're going to put right above the peekaboo, I wanted to do a cute little bow pattern because there's some bows in the DTF decal we're going to use, and I wanted to tie that in a little bit more to the design. So I just created this seamless file really quickly. If you guys want me to put this on my website, I absolutely can. Just let me know in the comments if that's something you would like. But basically I just repeated the pattern a bunch of times, printed it out on some printable vinyl, and now I'm cutting out that 2-inch section that we're going to put on the tumbler, and I'm just cutting that by hand. Of course, you can use a cutting machine if you would like to, but I just measured it out and cut it with my paper trimmer, and now I'm going to apply it to my tumbler right above where our peekaboo ends. I actually applied that bow pattern twice because I put it on the cup and then I added this gold striping and I didn't like how it looked, so I removed the whole thing and reapplied it. So you can just ignore the gold stripes because they won't be there in a minute. So once I've got that bow pattern figured out, I thought for the first time, I'm going to apply this DTF decal, and I'm going to basically just apply this like it was a clear decal. So with a UV DTF, you don't need a shiny surface underneath, whereas with a like clear cast decal, you want to make sure that you have that perfectly smooth and shiny surface because the clear part of that decal won't be removed, whereas with a DTF decal, you're going to remove that clear carrier sheet, so you don't need to worry about having a perfectly shiny surface. Hopefully that makes sense. So with this decal, I'm going to remove the backing the same way I do with a clear decal, but one thing I'm going to do differently, of course, is make sure that the decal is like fully applied to the tumbler. I'm really going to rub it down with my whatever this is, my squeegee, and then I'm going to remove that top clear piece of vinyl and we'll be left with just the decal on the tumbler. Okay, so now moving back to that little middle stripe, I removed that, like I said, and reapplied it. So now it's lined up a whole lot better. And what I'm going to do is a double layered striping on either side of this now. So for the bottom layer of our striping, I cut some stripes out of this like kind of dark huntery green regular permanent vinyl, and I'm going to put that down first, and then I'll go over the top of that with the same champagne gold vinyl that we had used in the first place. I wanted to bring a little bit of green somewhere to the design because the decal has a little bit of green in it, obviously with the Christmas trees, and the rest of the design had no green in it at all. So I felt like I needed to put green somewhere. So I decided that the striping would be a good little subtle touch of green just to tie all of that together. So once I've got the striping on, I'm going to go right into my final coats of epoxy. This cup does need its actual final coat, so it's not completely finished yet, but that's it for the tutorial. So I really hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you like the design. If you did, you know the drill. Please be sure to hit the thumbs up button down below. Let me know what you think down below in the comments as well. And if you are not already subscribed to my channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my new videos. As always, thank you so much for watching. I love you all so much and I appreciate you more than you will know. During the Christmas season, I'm always even more grateful than I normally am, just with all of the love and support and the joy and everything that goes around in the community at this time of year. So thank you for always being so positive and supportive to me. I'm so excited to close this year out and move into another wonderful year of crafting and creativity and all of that fun stuff on my channel. So just wanted to say a huge thank you to all of you for being along with me on this ride, and I'm excited for the year ahead. Okay, that's enough of my little soapbox speeching for today. Thank you all for watching again, and I will see you soon for another 12 Days of Christmas video. Okay, love you. Bye.